All right, so we're going to get started. Hi and welcome. My name is Olivia Regine, and I'm the Community Development Coordinator at the Campus Kitchens Project. Thank you for attending this webinar. This webinar will focus on the partnership between the Campus Kitchens Project and the Bonner Foundation in an effort to give the students and staff in the Bonner Network an opportunity to talk to each other and learn a little bit more about our organization and what planning a campus kitchen might look like for your Bonner program. So thank you again for attending. And just for a quick overview, for those of you who are not familiar with the Campus Kitchens Project, we are a national nonprofit organization that seeks to empower students to create sustainable and innovative solutions to hunger in their communities. That's our mission, but we also have a few core pillars to our model, and that's building on existing assets, going beyond the meal, and developing our student leaders. So as far as building on existing assets, although wasted food and food insecurity are apparent issues in many of your communities, the existing assets tend to go unnoticed. At each of our campus kitchens, student leaders recover food that would have otherwise gone to waste and put university dining halls to use after hours to feed those struggling with food insecurity. Thus, each of our campus kitchens sees wasted food as a resource and as a space solutions for community issues. As far as going beyond the meal, so we know that we can't end hunger with food alone, and that's why we teach our students to assess the specific needs in their community and develop programs that address the underlying root causes of food insecurity. So going beyond the meal looks really different at each of our campus kitchens. It may include nutrition education for youth, community gardens, or senior hunger outreach. And lastly, our model is student-centered. So whether they're leading volunteers in the kitchen or developing relationships with community organizations, our student leaders are learning entrepreneurial and leadership skills that they will carry with them into their future careers. And many of our students see their campus kitchen as an opportunity to both learn and to lead. So that brings us to the planning process, and I'm just going to give you all a quick overview of what this generally looks like, but you're going to hear from our Bonner students and staff later on in this webinar what it looked like in their specific case. So having the support of your school, while it may not seem like the most important factor, can make creating and sustaining your campus kitchen that much easier. So each campus kitchen, at the very least, needs what we call a sponsoring office, which is a place for the campus kitchen to call home, because we want the campus kitchen to be sustainable and deeply rooted on campus, not just some floating entity on campus. So this usually falls on an office of service, and in your case, this would be the Bonner office. And aside from having a sponsoring office, fostering a variety of other staff and administrative support on campus can only be to your benefit. Talking with your president, provost, or dean of students and getting them on board can help with fostering more vast support on campus. And even professors or other staff, don't limit yourself just to departments that might have more of a tie to hunger and food. So that brings us to dining support. Dining services is an integral partner of a campus kitchen, and the better relationship you have with your dining service provider, the more easily your campus kitchen will run, though there may be other ways to make a campus kitchen run successfully if dining services is not fully on board. But when approaching your dining service provider initially, it's important to come prepared. So as far as community support goes, throughout the campus kitchen affiliation process, you should never forget why you're creating a campus kitchen, and that's to meet the food insecurity needs of your community. And having the community can be an active partner in your campus kitchen is crucial to success. And you really must understand the community's need as well as the community's assets to receive the full benefits of community partners. Ideally, the campus kitchen will help bridge the gap between your school and your community. I think I skipped over student support. So students are really the driving force behind any campus kitchen, and while school and dining services are also crucial, students should always be at the core of daily operations and the big picture guidance for a campus kitchen, because this is not only a staffing opportunity, but the students are on your leadership team and the volunteer base usually. So moving on. So now that you know a little bit more about our general planning process, it clearly fits really well into the Bonner values and structure. This is a reciprocal partnership where a campus kitchen would ideally benefit from the dedicated Bonner students and vice versa. So the Bonner service requirements and supportive environment of the Bonner program on each campus has proven to be a perfect fit for what a campus kitchen requires as well. All right, I'll now be turning it over to the schools so they can explain firsthand experiences in both the Bonner Network and the CKP Network, as well as their own planning process. The three schools presenting today are vastly different examples of what a campus kitchen can look like, and also all at different stages of their growth. For example, Lindsey Wilson College is located in a rural community at a smaller institution, whereas University of Houston is in an urban setting at a much larger institution. So you'll be hearing from both staff and students today, as well as a planning school, a new campus kitchen affiliate, and a well-established campus kitchen that's been around for years. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Lindsey Wilson College. Just one moment.
Can everybody see that? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you're good on my end.
Awesome. Okay, my name is Natalie Bickus. I'm the Bonner Program Coordinator at Lindsey Wilson College. So I just wanted to start off by telling you all a little bit about us. Like Olivia said, we are located in rural South Central Kentucky, and we have a really small estimated population of about 19,000. Just a few statistics that we looked up when we were looking at starting the campus kitchen. The median household income in 2014 was around $34,000 a year. So about 26% of our population lives in poverty. And then we also have a 16.2% food insecurity rate. So that's about 3,000 people in Adair County who are food insecure, and 21% of them are most likely ineligible for federal assistance. So when we started seeing that, we started realizing that there was really a need for a service like this because a lot of people couldn't receive federal assistance, but they were obviously in need and they were obviously hungry. So we were really excited about the opportunity to partner with the campus kitchen. Because we're a rural area, we don't have very much public transportation. Most of the population actually lives outside of the city limits, so if they don't have a car or a personal vehicle, then they don't have access to food or local grocery retailers, so that's a big difficulty. We do have a lot of agricultural resources, though. We have a 4-H extension office. They offer classes and assistance to local farmers. And then we also have a very strong emphasis on buying local and supporting local business and small farms. So that's really helpful, actually. Lindsey Wilson is a small college, but we've experienced a lot of growth recently. So we started at 260 students in 1977, and now we have more than 2,600 for the 2015-2016 school year. So we've been recognized as a very fast-growing four-year college, and we're really excited about that. We're really proud of it. And our president and his wife actually were the people who started the Bonner program at Lindsey Wilson College. So they've been very supportive of Bonner. We're starting our 11th year of having a Bonner program. And they're very supportive of service initiatives, too. So every fall, we have a holiday called Malvina Farkle Day, and that is when President Luckey actually cancels classes and work for one day on all of our campuses, all of our satellite campuses, and we all stop what we're doing and we go and serve in the community. So it's a really exciting day. It's a lot of fun, but it also kind of serves to show how much service means to us, and it's kind of cool because not a lot of schools get to do that. So our grant process, like Olivia said, we're still in the planning process. So this is just kind of outlining where we started and where we are now. Over winter break last year, I participated in a webinar hosted by Matt with the Campus Kitchens Project. And he was talking about the process to compete in a grant competition funded by AARP. And I thought it sounded cool, so I took it to my supervisor. And she was really excited about it. So then throughout January, I started just talking to local partners, talking to people on campus, gauging what the support would be for that idea, and getting the materials that would be required for the grant. By the end of February, we had all of our support letters. We had all of the office's support. We had talked to the president, to the dean of financial support, and figured out that they were really on board for that. We had talked to dining services, and they were on board. So by the end of February, we actually had everything ready. We had our competition video prepared for the grant competition, and that was made through working with our PR department, and they were really excited about helping us with that. And then in March, we actually had the grant competition. So that's when that took place, and we had a full social media campaign that I actually put Abby in charge of, and you're going to hear from her in a few minutes. And so she was really on board. She was really dedicated to getting the word out through social media and getting a lot of votes. And so the local community really stood behind us for that, and that was really exciting to see. And then we received the grants. So from April until now, we've been focused on the real planning process of how are we going to implement this into our community? How are we going to make the campus kitchen at Lindsey Wilson College happen? So we've been working on meeting local partners and setting up food donors or financial donors too, people who want to support us financially but not necessarily give food. We've been working on figuring out where our kitchen is going to be because we're a small college and we don't have a dietetics program or a kitchen that we can use here. So we have to find a kitchen in the community that we can use and make sure it's health code certified. And so we've been going through that whole process. And then we've also just started getting on social media, trying to create a presence in the community so that people know who we are and what we're going to be doing, and that it's not a surprise when we show up and start asking for help. So throughout our process, our main tips are just to be transparent and honest. If you're not sure what is going on, if you're not sure about a certain detail, be honest about that. We've gotten a lot of support just from saying, you know what, we actually don't have that yet. And instead of someone saying, oh, that's terrible, you're trying to start this program and you don't have that, instead they say, oh, well, I can help you with that. So maybe we say, well, hey, we don't actually know where our kitchen is going to be. That's kind of funny. We don't actually know that yet. And they say, oh, well, we've actually got a building with a health code certified kitchen. So that's been really helpful. So I think just being honest about where you are in the process is really helpful. And then just taking advantage of the Trello, which is the planning program, taking advantage of the foundation staff who are always helpful, and just all possible resources. You know, never be afraid to ask for help, because through asking a lot of what we thought were silly questions, we've actually gained a lot of support and a lot of resources that we might not have found otherwise. Okay, so my name is Abby Biddle. I am the program coordinator for the campus kitchen, the student program coordinator for the campus kitchen at Lindsey Wilson College, and I'm also a staff member for Bonner. So I'm going to start off by talking about our sponsoring offices. Our sponsoring offices are the Office of Civic Engagement, which is through Bonner. And through that, we have had a great foundation with Bonner for community partners, so it has been a valuable resource to start our campus kitchen. And through that, we also have a consistent volunteer basis. And leadership positions throughout our kitchen are open to our whole student body, because although we love Bonner and we love our student leaders on the Bonner staff, we want to make sure that the whole campus gets involved, and it's not just a Bonner initiative where people feel like they can't participate because it's solely Bonner. So our leadership structure for what we've developed for our specific school, Natalie will be the head of it. She's our staff advisor, and then I will be the program coordinator, where I kind of just like oversee and make sure things are running smoothly. Then we'll have our administration team working on all of our important forms, logistics, and decisions. Our relations leader will handle social media presence and recruitment. Shift leaders will be present at each of the shifts and handle the paperwork or any crisis that may arise. And our fundraising committee will handle creative ways on how we can get funds and resources. So for our food providers, our cafeteria, but our cafeteria is different from a lot of larger schools. We don't have like a food service provider. Our cafeteria is like privately owned, so like our dining service comes up with the meals themselves, and you know, they do a lot of local produce and things like that. So we've come to the conclusion of a take what you can get type of agreement with the head of our dining services. So he basically just wants us to call every night and see what type of food is available for us. We've also had a lot of great responses from our local restaurants and farmers. We have a community garden on campus as well, who has been willing to grow specifically for the campus kitchen. Which has also been super great. And we are also doing a food drive right now, and we have 282 food items that have been donated through that. Our community partners, we've had a lot of support from people in the community, like members of the Rotary Club have volunteered to assist us financially however we may need it. Joy Ministries is one of our possible places. It's a crisis resource center, and they have a health code certified kitchen, and we've been looking at there to serve our meals because it's in the middle of government housing, which would be like a pretty good location for us to reach out to members of our client bases. Columbia United Methodist Church is where we are actually located right now, but we're trying to see if Joy Ministries would work better. And through the Methodist Church, we would cook our meals there and serve our meals. We would actually deliver them in the reusable clamshells to members in the community. We would actually go to each location. And our resource center is how we get our clients, or how we figure out which clients are in most need. So what are we actually doing so far right now? We're working on setting up an advisory board with members of our community, beginning searching for ordering and necessary supplies, sending out applications for our leadership positions, and promoting the food drive and building relations with our partners. Yeah, so just some tips and tricks, things that have worked out well for us so far. First of all, use all avenues of social media, not just your favorites. So on our campus, we're a very, very social media positive campus. All of our administration is active on their social media, but most of our students are on Twitter and Instagram. So that's my natural, that's what I want to use. And I want to ignore Facebook because who uses Facebook? But when we were doing our social media drive for the grant competition, Facebook was great because who's on Facebook? All of the moms. And then all of the moms are sending it to all of their friends. And then grandmas were saying, hey, everybody go vote for this. And their whole knitting club was voting for us. So don't just downplay social media just because it's not your favorite. Make sure you're active on all social media avenues. The squeaky wheel method of persuasion is one of my personal favorite ways to work. And that's just the idea of being very, very persistent. Keep bothering people until they want to help you just to make you go away. So on a college campus, people like to think they're very busy. They're too busy to help. They're too busy to help start a new program. But if you keep emailing them and emailing them and emailing them and showing up at their office and calling them and talking to them, eventually they're going to say, hey, you know what? These people are super dedicated to the program. They're super dedicated to what they're trying to do. I might as well help them. So it really shows that you are invested in what you're doing, and that's a great thing to show someone. And also it doesn't give them time to forget about you. Be aware of health code certification requirements in your community. That's really big. So as we've said multiple times, we're still working on finding a kitchen and a place to prepare the meals. And we weren't even aware before we started of what those requirements would be for a building to be health code certified. So make sure you're talking to the people in your community that are going to be in charge of that and figuring out what you need so that when you go to a building, you know, do I need a mop sink? Do I need a grease trap? What is a grease trap? What does it look like? So make sure you're prepared to look for that when you're looking at resources and places to go. You Give Goods is a drive that I found on the Campus Kitchen website. It actually suggested using it, and it has been a tremendous help in us starting up our kitchen. We have collected, like I said before, we've collected 282 food and dry good items, like instant mashed potatoes, bags of whole wheat pasta, beans, cans of tuna, and those will all be really beneficial since so many things are up in the air for us right now. It's so beneficial to have that just to fall back on and just to start up. Small businesses versus big businesses. Well, since we're so small here, we have a lot of fast food restaurants, but then we have a couple local businesses. And our local businesses have actually been a lot more willing to help than the chain restaurants Subway, we have McDonald's and Taco Bell. And some of those restaurants, some of the fast food restaurants have certain guidelines where they can't give donations of food. But our small businesses have been going out of their way to help us, which has been really great. and calls versus face-to-face interaction. I've found that through calls and trying to reach people and set up meetings is a lot harder than actually just going to the restaurant and asking if the manager is there, being persistent, making sure that they have a face with a name, and just trying to be that presence um, so they don't forget and they remember, even if they don't want to donate or even if they don't want to participate in helping us, they'll at least know who to go to if they actually decide that they do want to help. And that's it for us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to now pass it on to Houston. Just one second.
Hi, can you all hear us?
Yep, you're good on our end.
Okay, great. Well, first off, I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of me and Robert to Olivia for organizing this. I think it's going to be really beneficial for our chapter and others to learn from each other and kind of just see how we got started and how we're integrated into Bonner. So, yeah, I think the information so far is pretty good. And so just to start us off, I'll just give you guys a few quick facts on where we're at. So we are the Campus Kitchen at the University of Houston. We are in Texas. Our chapter was officially with the Campus Kitchen launched on October 9th of 2015, but we started test runs of recoveries and deliveries on September 4th. So within our Bonner chapter, which was founded in the fall of 2013, we are relatively new. But we are the second campus kitchen in Texas and the first at a public university in Texas. We currently have 13 students serving in our project, and we're expecting to have 8 students. And our dining service provider, we are a large public university, I would think, which kind of distinguishes us from a good majority of the other Bonner chapters. But that being said, we still have a significant amount of food waste. So we recover from 2 dining halls, Fresh Foods and Cougar Woods, Fresh Foods being on the top left that you see there, and then Cougar Woods being on the bottom left. So we recover 5 days a week, and we deliver to 3 locations, but Robert will kind of touch upon our current operations a little later. I'm going to hop on to the next slide to talk about kind of how we started. So the concept for, I guess, food recovery and food waste reduction started in the fall of my freshman year of 2014, and so one of the courses that our Bonner students are highly encouraged to take is called Introduction to Civic Engagement, and this kind of provides a very in-depth understanding of what service looks like and how to do it right in different ways. So we study different models. I mean, we looked at different academic resources in terms of what service actually looks like. And so I was in this course, and our Bonner director at the time, Dr. Hamilton, who also taught the course, asked all the students in the class, which again were all Bonners, to come up with different projects that would kind of address a need that wasn't already being met in Houston by students. So I wanted to do something with food waste and hunger alleviation, and our university wasn't really engaging in any significant activities at the time, and especially with the dining halls. And so I started brainstorming, and eventually I came across the Campus Kitchen project, and then of course, Lindsay Wilson mentioned earlier, I talked to Matt Schnarr, similar to them, about, I guess now it would be, wow, 2 years ago, nearly. And so, yeah, so we talked to him about starting a Campus Kitchen chapter and the benefits and the requirements. So the sponsorship office, of course, having a dining services partner, and then we also store our food in a fridge at the Hilton College, which is a hotel and restaurant management college on campus. So yeah, so I guess maybe something helpful would be to mention about reaching out to the dining service provider is be persistent and don't lose hope just because you don't get a response to an email immediately, or even a phone call. It did take us a while to get Aramark's attention, and we had to establish credibility. You know, because sometimes with, I guess maybe, I'm not sure if it's unique to large universities or even it's probably the same at others too, regardless of size, but sometimes they're a little less willing to listen to, you know, just a group of 3 or 4 freshmen. So, you know, you'd want to establish credibility by talking to professors, building support from your Bonner directors and others as well, and if you can, raising money externally. One big thing for us, which is the 4th bullet point here, is the Sodexo Video Grant Competition. That was our, I think, our first big publicity kind of thing that got attention to the project. We had a lot of people vote in it, and it was great, and that's how we got our initial funding, and we're on our way to becoming a campus kitchen chapter. Additionally, that spring we visited Baylor University's campus kitchen just because we wanted to see like what our future could look like and how an actual campus kitchen with, you know, 5 years on us kind of operated, and what we could be and how they did it. And so that was really beneficial to us as well. And yeah, again, thinking about how Bonner would be your sponsoring office, just like talking to your Bonner director or advisor and looking at you know, the students that you have in your program and seeing if you can form an executive team around that, which I'll mention a little later. And of course, asking questions. I mean, there are countless times that I'd call Matt with questions or just keeping him updated. So whether it's Matt or Olivia, I recommend that whoever's interested in starting a chapter do that, just because they might have insight that you might be asking a question about that you could really benefit from. So yeah, and then this is just the 3rd slide about a few things. So having an executive team. So I am the current project head, but we started off as 4 students, or 5 students rather, working on it, and we have 4 on our executive team. And what our executive team kind of does is we, like it says here, we oversee operations, outreach, and advancement. So the day-to-day things, do we have enough resources? Are we actively pursuing funding for the future to make sure we'll have funding for future resources? Are we thinking about how to advance what we're doing? So are we trying to go beyond the meal? Are we satisfying our partners? Are we meeting the community need? Are we prioritizing the impact that we're having on people? So all of these things are things that our executive team looks at in addition to kind of coordinating the outreach and communication to various groups, whether that's on or off campus. And I think one thing that's important is making sure that your executive team is not consisting of all people that are about to be seniors. We had one my freshman year, so he was a senior and I was a freshman, but thankfully we were 4 freshmen at the time, including myself as well. So I'd recommend that your leadership team have some people that are going to be juniors or sophomores, just because going into their senior year it's tough and they're looking to go out after that. But yeah, and then also just getting the word out. I just have some bullet points here about how you can do that. I mean, we reached out to our campus media relations, and that proved to be very useful because they connected us with all the local news outlets that we've been featured on over the past year. And then, of course, resources. The CKP Planner is really helpful. It has everything from nutrition education to how to, I don't know, like fundraising stuff, and, of course, checking the emails that are sent out from the national office. The national staff, gotta love Olivia and Matt, of course, and everyone else, and attending the Food Waste and Hunger Summit, which is actually where that picture is from. That was awesome for our team. And we have UH faculty and staff and local groups on there. For us, our university has really been a key driving force and really been instrumental to our success just because we've constantly either reached out to them or had people reach out to us, just, you know, or staff members looking to volunteer on the weekends, stuff like that. And of course, local groups that you could probably look at as models. So for us, that'd be the Houston Food Bank. We went on a few visits, just saw what they would do, and that's how we learned about some safety procedures. So I'm going to switch it over to Robert now, who is an incoming sophomore, and he's going to go over the Bonner partnership and what we currently do.
Okay. Hello. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how being a campus kitchen within a Bonner program has shaped our chapter a little bit. So I think there's a lot of benefits to having a campus kitchen in a Bonner program. The first one being the consistent volunteer base, so having the 10-hour-a-week model with a group of volunteers that are doing the campus kitchen work every week really facilitates the connections with the people we serve looking for. So having familiar faces at each of the days that we serve food to the residents of the low-income housing facilities that we serve at, it builds their trust in our program, and it gives faces to what our program does, and the other way around too. So it gives students that serve with us the opportunity to get to know the people that they serve in a way that they couldn't as much with a one-off service model. Then also program support from the Bonner staff is incredibly essential. So that's from like full-time Bonner directors or AmeriCorps Vistas, or even just Bonner students or peers can offer a lot of advice. So this is especially helpful this first year when there's so much development questions that have to be answered. And then in addition to that, it is difficult, especially when you're trying to start a campus kitchen, to gain initial connections with dining halls or with like even service partners in the community that you're going to, because Bonner carries some weight at an administrative level and at a university level, it's helpful to gain those initial things. So that's something that we really took advantage of with our chapter. So long-term sustainability is another big benefit of being within a Bonner program because, again, it's sort of an accumulation of the other benefits. But next year we have a few key members that are going to be graduating, and the fact that we have students who have been committed to Campus Kitchen on the 10-year or the 10-hour-a-week model and Bonner staff that's working full-time with the program is going to make that transition to new leadership really smooth, which might not be as smooth if Campus Kitchen was embedded in the Bonner program. And then also Bonner provides students with an academic and social understanding of service, and that really goes hand in hand with the work Campus Kitchen does. So the Bonner mentality provides groundwork for more impactful service and student-led initiatives through Campus Kitchen. So like Brenda mentioned, that class that she took is something that's required for all the students on in our Bonner program, so that really helps them gain a much greater understanding of what can be accomplished through programs like Campus Kitchen. So a little bit about what we do currently. We deliver to 3 New Hope housing locations, which are all low-income residencies. So we deliver to a Perry, Braes, and Canal location. Up till now, we've delivered a little bit over 8,500 pounds of food, and that's all from, mostly from 2 dining halls on our campus. So we've gotten these basic steps down for the first year of our program, and we have a lot more planned for the semester and for the following year. So also, like Brenda mentioned, we're going to have close to 20 students serving with us in the fall. So our numbers are increasing a lot. We're going to be running nutrition education workshops, which kind of touches on something that Olivia mentioned, which is going beyond the meals. This is something that's really important to us because it lets us start addressing the root cause of food insecurity instead of just delivering food to people. So another initiative that we started up is a gleaning initiative, which is something we did this summer, where we reach out to local farms in the Houston area and collect produce that they can't sell. So I think this is important because it's a large percentage of food waste that's wasted on an agricultural level. So it allows us to tap into that waste in addition to the waste that you see from dining halls or from actual servers of food. And along with this, we're going to be recovering from locations off campus. So we're looking into Starbucks or Whole Foods, and also a catering company called Catering Cullen that provides catering for a lot of events that happen on our campus. So these things, with all this raw produce or materials, is going to help help us start something that's a big part of what Campus Kitchen does, which is food preparation. So up till now, we've just been serving food that's been prepared by the dining halls, but hopefully this next year with all these new materials, we'll be able to actually start with crafting and hand making more healthy options for the people that we serve.
And just to, I guess, kind of just outline things really quickly about how all of this kind of happened in, I guess including planning and everything, in about 2 years. I mean, one thing we stress within Bonner, is similar to other chapters as well, is really student-run and student-led service programs. And so the one thing that we always ask at our chapter is, at Campus Kitchen and Bonner, because all of our students that volunteer, or rather commit to serve in Campus Kitchen or Bonners, the first thing we ask is, what is the need, and how are we addressing it, and how can we improve upon addressing it. So it took us a while to figure out who we wanted to take the food to, but we really identified New Hope Housing as a great place just because the facilities provide us an opportunity to consistently go there, and they're flexible with our schedule in terms of dropping off food. They met the safety standards, of course, and now the residents are pretty familiar with us. And so what we're doing now is taking the relationships we've made and partnerships we've had and trying to export that in a way that shows the impact that we've had. So we're doing something called impact videos. So we have one talking about the impact we have, or rather our work has on the students that are serving, the people that we serve, so New Hope Housing, and then finally our partners, so Aramark and the Honors College here at UH. And we'll be pushing those out to just community members, just showing them the different perspectives of the people that are involved of all aspects of our program, because at the end of the day, of course, I mean, you know, we're wasting less food and serving it in the form of meals, but it really is about the people and the effect that we're having, and seeing how that can turn into some great long-term benefits after I graduate, after Robert graduates, and you know, we come back and look at how we've improved. So we're really excited to be a part of the Campus Kitchen Network and also Bonner, and we would love to see more chapters that are Campus Kitchens within Bonner programs. And yeah, I guess we're done. We can pass it off to the next
Washington
school.
University.
Yeah.
Over here.
Great, thank you so much. I'm just going to switch on over here.
Cool. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So my name is Jonah McKay. I'm a rising senior at Washington Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, which is about 3 hours south of DC. I've worked with the Campus Kitchens program there for 3 years, and this summer I'm actually working at the national level in DC, doing communications, event planning, and social media work for the National Campus Kitchens project. Excuse me. So Washington Lee is a small liberal arts school of around 1,900 students located in Lexington, Virginia. It's the 9th oldest college in the United States and named after George Washington and Robert E. Lee. The surrounding county, just to kind of get a picture of who we're addressing with our work, it's a food desert, primarily rural, with poverty levels around state averages that is exacerbated often by lack of access to resources that would be there in a larger city. Sorry, 1 second, let me get this to work. So the Washington Lee and Bonner program and Campus Kitchen are both under the umbrella of the Shepherd Poverty Program. I don't know if anyone has heard of that or if that's any of your schools, but the Shepherd Poverty Program is a consortium of colleges that are all have this program dedicated to addressing poverty in their communities. So the Bonner program doesn't run the Campus Kitchen, and the Campus Kitchen leadership team is not only composed of Bonner students. They're both kind of under this larger umbrella, the Shepherd Poverty Program, and then there's a Human Capabilities Studies and Poverty minor that's also associated with it. So the Bonner program has around 40 students. It was founded in 2011. 10 to 11 students from every year. The Campus Kitchen has a 20-student leadership team. It was founded in 2006, so we're turning 10 in September, which is sweet. And we have dedicated staff that does. We have one staff member at the university who primarily works only with Campus Kitchen. Cool. So Bonner serves numerous agencies all over Rockbridge County. Women's shelters, tutoring, community-based research. It's not all centered on Campus Kitchen. Our Campus Kitchen, because it's fairly old, I guess, for Campus Kitchens, has covered over 400,000 pounds of food, served over 245,000 meals, and there's been over 30,000 volunteer hours served. We deliver to centers for adults with disabilities, retirement homes, after-school programs. We have a mobile food pantry that drives food bags out to communities where people might not have access to transportation or take them a long time to get to local stores. Sorry. And something that's really cool about, I think, Campus Kitchen and Bonner programs is that they can work really well together. There's lots of opportunities for Bonner students to find really high-level, in-depth involvement going along with the student development model that's part of the Bonner program. There's lots of experience to be gained by connecting the two organizations, even if they aren't run by the same leadership. And this can be done by connecting and working with Campus Kitchens. The Bonner Network makes it really easy to find and establish partnerships. So a lot of the places that we serve are places where we pick up food. We wouldn't have been able to find without Bonner students already having worked there, letting us know, hey, there's this organization that could use your help, or hey, I work here, and they have some extra food that you guys could utilize to serve people that are in need. So that's been tremendously helpful for just finding opportunities to grow each organization. And then obviously Bonner is a great way to get volunteers, people who need hours, people who have experience running programs like Campus Kitchen, and it's a great way, Campus Kitchen is a great way for a Bonner student to really immerse themselves in one issue area. Cool. So yeah, Bonner is a great source of it's an excellent source for recurring volunteers and ideas for getting new volunteers. So Bonners have come to us and said, hey, this is how we get volunteers for other sites. You guys could look into this. Some examples that we've been given are, there's a lot of Greek life on campus, so kind of organizing competitions between different Greek organizations to see who can donate the most food or serve the most hours is a great way. One way that we also use is people that have court-mandated volunteer hours are usually directed to the Campus Kitchen, and it turns out really well. We usually have multiple people every year who come to us saying, hey, can you sign my hour sheet that's court-mandated, and end up finishing that and then staying with the Campus Kitchen and continuing on to do volunteer work in their communities. Bonner is a great way to have a stable and committed leadership team. Because you're kind of already committed to Bonner, it's hard to stop committing to an organization that you're on the leadership team for. There's also great networking between students involved in diverse community engagement projects. Teaming up for fundraising is something we do, volunteer recruitment, best practices for leadership, best practices for accessing different organizations, contacting different people in town. So we have a pretty symbiotic relationship, even though it's not the Campus Kitchen Project Leadership Team is not exclusively Bonner's. The two organizations work pretty closely together just to be efficient and effective and doing the best work they can in Rockbridge. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenna. So that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comment box below. And I don't know if everyone can see my screen right now. But here's my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for attending.